There are beliefs ingrained in us since childhood, as if death is inevitable and unavoidable. Thinking in a dogmatic way is conservative. With such an approach, new discoveries are impossible. It only delivers predictable and expected results. This also happens in science. Nowadays, science is focused on diseases rather than health and primarily geared towards combating symptoms rather than addressing the root causes. Hence, the results are dismal. New drugs, like new diseases, only increase in numbers. Scientists are not focused on conquering death, but rather on finding new ways of improving their methods of treating symptoms. Health issues are approached on an isolated basis. In the end, death and old age seem inevitable to us. However, here is what's interesting. When a male cell of a certain age fertilizes a female cell of a certain age, at the moment of their union into a new cell called the zygote, the biological clocks of both cells are reset to 0. Regardless of the age of the sperm and the egg, the age of the new cell resulting from their union will be 0. For a newborn baby, the age of any cell is 9 months. These are some examples of how age can be reset. There are mechanisms capable of halting aging, and evidence of this is found in hibernation. People in a coma remain asleep for decades. During this time, life processes continue. But those people do not age, and their biological clock seems to stop. Another example of reversing aging is found in the larvae of the European pearl mussel. They parasitize on the gills of salmon. And if the larvae find themselves on an older fish and realize that their host will die before they mature, the larvae secrete a substance that activates a rejuvenation program. This therapy transforms the aging fish, laden with all the ailments of old age, into a youthful fish that emerges stronger and more resilient than its peers. These cycles of rejuvenation can be repeated on the same fish with no limitations. There are also examples of longevity in the Bible. In Genesis, chapter 5, verse 5, it is written, "And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died." His descendant Noah was also a long-lived individual. Noah, who was not even considered a saint, lived for 950 years, and his wife Naamah gave birth to Shem, Ham, and Japheth at the age of 500. According to numerous accounts from ancient authors, the so-called Hyperboreans lived for hundreds of years and would die by choice when they saw no further purpose in continuing their life journey. This suggests that overcoming death and aging is possible, but it requires a different approach and mindset. Victory over death is not just a dream or fantasy. It is a reality that exists in the world. We don't necessarily need to know how the mechanisms work or to understand the nature of future discoveries upon which anti-aging technologies will be built. For us, it is sufficient that consequently people will stop aging and will live longer. In many ways, we are hostages of our subconsciousness, as it is convinced that aging is inevitable and pushes us along the familiar path. However, age can be reset, and examples of this exist in nature. But how do we direct the brain towards longevity and having an influence upon current diseases? Overcoming aging and death is the only idea that unites people, serving as fertile ground for other possibilities. And forging new pathways entails harnessing the wisdom of the past, the knowledge and tools of the future for the benefit and well-being of humanity. The integration of new technologies in our lives is not magic, but rather the outcome of cutting-edge scientific developments built on novel principles of the physics of the brain, energy and cell, pioneered by Morozov, Khatibov, Markov, Levashov, Skrudnev, and other eminent scholars and researchers, alongside the Russian Scientific and Technical Society. These unique technologies actively engage not only with the brain, but also with the subtle matters, primary, that the body is composed of, the physically dense matter. These technologies help people in activating life forces, promoting inner healing, enhancing intellectual and creative potential, contributing to the normalization of mental and emotional states, and mitigating the harmful effects of the environment, thus aiding in neutralizing and decelerating the aging processes. Is rejuvenation possible today? What does official science say on this matter? Currently, science has identified 3 main ways to trigger cells to remember youthfulness. The first step involves appropriating a youthful environment. The second step entails targeting specific genes, while the third involves pharmacological intervention in cells. Experiments on cell rejuvenation, as well as the identification of rejuvenating factors, are undoubtedly impressive, and it may seem like the elixir of youth is about to be invented. But, unfortunately, it's not that simple. These are still just the very first steps in official science. Scientists are still far from fully understanding the mechanisms of aging and how it can be controlled and regulated.